So
Agree.
I don't think we have to stay too much longer on them. Let's go ahead and head to the next. So two of the greatest leaders, we've seen, um, arguably in since after slavery, particularly during the civil rights movements and stuff like that. Of course, King and Malcolm, they both had their own philosophy on and ideas of how things should be done and how to gain our you know liberation from this vicious cycle that we've been stuck in even today, even though it seems like we're not, where they just tricked us into believing that we're not now. But I think a lot of us know that it's still not exactly where we would love it to be. So with King and with Malcolm, currently speaking, with the position that we're in now. First out, let me ask the panel: which side do y'all resonate with the most currently? Not during daytime. Let's say if we was to have a new leader, then and let's just say this stuff was going on currently in 2025. Which um which way do you think is the best way for Black America to follow now? Is it King's um ah, King's way of thinking and his thought process, or Malcolm?
Ladies first. I'll let Solo go first.
I mean, I tend to both definitely agree with both leaders and what they contributed. I think that as far as myself, I think that I would resonate more with uh, Malcolm X simply because um, I just think that him and my upbringing had somewhat more resemblance than I did with Dr. King. Also, I think that I think that we just have more of a attitude with it, like no nonsense. Like I don't want to say it to you the nice way, I don't want to. So I think I like that part about Malcolm X more. I mean, sort of his sentiments. Um, I'm sorry, it's someone outside of my apartment that's making a lot of noise. Yeah. Oh my God.
It's not
So
you good.
yeah, it'd be homeless people out there. So I think I would do. As far as Black America, I wouldn't say that we have more sentiments than either one of them. I think that if we was to lean towards either of them, maybe even 50%, we would be doing a whole lot more. So as far as like where I think the status of Black America is right now, I couldn't say that we more identify with neither one of them.
Yeah, we to just answer the question directly, I would definitely say X, and that's just to answer the question fairly, the way you asked the question. But Black America, we have the luxury of pulling from both, and that's a blessing because when you could blend both styles, that's a powerful way to move forward. But when we had that private conversation, Jamie, and we asked that question, if you lived in their time or if they was in ours, who would you march with? I would definitely march with X. Um, I remember, and I'm gonna go ahead and shout out my college, man. Shout out to Southern University, Baton Rouge, New Orleans, and I'm shouting it out because another classmate brought this to my attention, and she was like, "King was brilliant." Remember this. Think about this, y'all. TV came out in the '50s, so she was bringing to my attention that King was brilliant to use the new technology of TV to show the world how nasty they was being to us. And she was sort of making the case that's why he chose the non-violent approach to make them look worse. And her concluding point was, if he would have took the X route, which I don't really think King had that in him when you study his upbringing. X did. X was a gangster before he converted to righteousness. But to King's credit, it was an effective method to use. Like, yo, let me, because what she was saying is if he would have chose to kind of put up violent resistance, it would have justified their treatment of us to the world, not just the country, but the whole world. Because once the TV came out, the whole world could pay attention to what was going on. So I thought that was a real interesting point she made, and it was the first time I had heard it. But to give you a short answer to your question, yeah, I'm X all day, man. I just think this is my last point. I hate to use this word, but the stigma, the religious stigma of Islam, kind of tied X hands. So many of us would have rocked with X, but because we was brought up in the black church, remember the black church goes back to 1777. So X comes around in the 1950s with this Islam stuff. And even if you pull up the stats and the data today, only 2% of Black America subscribe to Islam. So a lot of us just like, nah, we cool with the cultural stuff X doing, but we don't really want to get too close to the Islam stuff. And I think that kind of kept a lot of us at a distance. But we love X as a community, and I know that for sure. But yeah, it's X all day. To pass the mic. Go ahead.
Well, my answer shortly is I mean, obviously is X for me. But I would here's something that I want to present, because remember what we kind of talked on is doing that. Remember, I was saying, what about people 45 plus and up? Who would they resonate with the most? Now I get it that Malcolm seems to be the one that you would absolutely feel more protected with, because obviously Martin, he walking the streets and stuff, and they sicking dogs on you, spraying on your ass, all kinds of stuff. And he just said that saying, just we can withstand it and show the, like you were saying, because that's not the first one, the same thing that you just said, Taj. Gary Payton's son.
Uh-huh.
I was around him. His stepdad was talking to me about this, right? And he was saying that basically what you just said. Your colleague told you that they basically was able to televise to the world that this is how America treat their people.
And that was brilliant. Keep going. That was a brilliant strategy, though. I had never thought about it that way. You got it.
And I mean, yeah, and think about it this way. This is where I think we might get some headway. When X died, it was some people upset and stuff about it and stuff like that, but it did not get the same type of uproar that Dr. King got, right?
True.
We can agree
Absolutely.
on that.
Right.
So my point is that I'm making is, although it seems as if all of us, resonates with him the most, the person who was able to uproar the lion in Judah was King, the non-violent.
I got to jump in on that, but I want you to finish. Go ahead.
I'm pretty much done. Jump in.
Bro, King was like the homie who don't bother nobody. That's why we rose up like that. We all understood that X can handle his own. Like, X was a gangster. We can't forget that. But before he went to prison, that was his lifestyle. X reformed killers, straight up and down. The nation still does that till this day. They reform killers. When dudes go to jail for murder, or even if they don't, the nation, one of the greatest things they bring to our community is they reform the people, they reform the menaces in our society. So when that happened to King, we like, damn, why y'all do that to him? That homie don't bother nobody. Right. Like, y'all, if y'all do that, and I believe this is just my opinion, but I think it's a strong opinion. That's why our community rose up that way back in the 60s. They said riots broke out across the country in all the major cities because y'all did that to a man who was, preaching. He was peaceful. He was nonviolent. And if
Mhm.
y'all did that to him, it's like we lost all hope.
Yeah.
Solo.
I would agree. I definitely think that King definitely relied on, non-violence in order to make the message that he wanted to get through. But I think that may be, a gift and a curse, because if you're going against a group that has been so violent, I mean, you usually want to, I guess I'll say, instead of saying that, the king sort of relied on changing the morality of other races, which I think sort of can't be done. I think if once we find out who they actually are, then you figure out then that their morality is just isn't the same, their values isn't the same, their morals isn't the same. So, I think that we were probably was dealing with sort of beating a dead horse, trying to change trying to get, the other races to change their way of thinking about us, convince them that we're human, convince them that, they should probably stop killing us, and, all of that. So, I mean, I think that that's what King heavily relied on. But I think what made King was so special was that he was able to sort of organize a large group of Black people. Black people believed in him. They thought that, he was educated enough, smart enough, more of a leader, that they were willing to follow him. I do think that King came up with specific uh, strategies in order to organize us and um, get what we need, or he was able to make the decision and say, hey, this is what we're going to be fighting towards, and everyone sort of followed him without even maybe knowing specifically what it is that what goals he was trying to meet. So, I definitely think that he gave us some good and some bad, but I just think ultimately that was his sort of, that brought upon sort of his demise. It's like, I'm not going to tell my people to meet you where you are, but I'm going to ask them to be the bigger person, so to speak. Also, I definitely think that, they honor him now, but back then people wanted him dead. People didn't
That's
want
right.
him to be alive. Like they put him, when it's Martin Luther King Day and football is coming on, NFL does a tribute to Dr. Martin Luther King, but Kaepernick tried to do a non-peaceful, a peaceful boycott, and they didn't kicked him out of the NFL. So it's sort of a contradiction. If what Kaepernick was doing was peaceful, and Martin Luther King, what he was fighting for was peaceful, then why is it that you're honoring him for doing it 60 years, 70 years ago, but then you're punishing him for doing it today? So, I don't really think we get a lot of places with nonviolence, especially given that we don't control our institutions, right? So, they still get to pick and choose, what they want to enforce, what they want to take seriously. And so, I mean, I think that until we start being more like Malcolm, we're not, we're still going to be subjected, or still asking them to participate instead of us controlling, you know, our own. Because no black owned black basketball league would have had an issue with. What I would like to believe, we wouldn't have had an issue with Kaepernick boycotting the flag in our system. I mean, our institution, we may not even have a United States flag flying outside of our bank or at our school. Maybe our children don't pledge allegiance to the United States flag in our school, right? So, I just think that until we move away from sort of asking them to participate, which I felt as though King was sort of asking us to allow us to participate, that we're still going to be subjected to them until we start moving towards Malcolm, where he's saying we need our own institution, we need our own businesses in our neighborhoods, then we're still going to be faced with what we're dealing with right now.
Jamie, you
Oh,
want to get you want me to get the comment section, or you already in there?
well, you see, I highlighted one of them. I was getting ready to
Oh,
address that.
all right. Oh yeah, I see it.
Um, so what I was going to say about that, hold on one second. Because he said he honestly thinks that the government used Martin Luther King versus Malcolm X to divide the black community. I
No,
I agree with it.
I do
That
too.
absolutely happened. Because it's like you said earlier, DeMarcus, they sort of was trying, they basically had the same mission, just different ways of doing it. And where the problem lies is that, and at least, as far as how America was looking at it, the problem lies that Malcolm's way, what they couldn't afford was for them to come together to form a solution to what the differences that they had, which was about to happen. The reason why they were like, we got to take one of them niggas out, and that person so happened to be Malcolm. But this isn't the only time that stuff like that has happened too. Like this has happened multiple times. Whenever something like this happens, where and I'm gonna talk about it on different levels, like not just from a civil rights level. You know what I'm saying? Like people that we look up to. Like it's certain people that certain communities and certain even our people as well would frown upon. But I'm gonna go ahead and say it. Um, this has happened a couple times. Like even the Bloods and the Crips, the Vice Lords and the GDs. Folks, I don't know if everyone is aware of this, but originally when these organizations, gangs were created, it was to protect the family. It was to protect protect us from the police brutality and stuff like that that was taking place during those time periods. But just like with X and King, the same bullshit government system infiltrated, pointed them against each other, and then now you start getting Bloods versus Crips, GDs versus Vice Lord. That's what happened with them. It's the same shit. And even more, not just even from that level. Folks don't realize. I'll even go as far as saying it even happened in the 90s with hip hop. Think about this. Tupac and Biggie were the two biggest, rappers during the 90s. No, I think we can't even argue that those were the two. Those were the two biggest ones.
Hands down, absolutely.
So Tupac, when he first came with his first album, Tupacalypse Now, that's some shit that they don't want us listening to. Because what was Tupac talking about on that? He was on some Black Panther shit.
Revolution. That's right.
He was
Revolution.
like, these cops come at you with that bullshit. Hey, get the same gun that you using to shoot your brother, tear their ass up with it. That's
Yeah, he
what
was on that.
was very influential. So if they would have allowed him to continue to push that, and then keep in mind, Tupac was the one that put on Biggie. So like he was the one that really made him blow up to get discovered. So imagine if those two brothers were able to, the two biggest voices of hip hop, who was very influential to the black community during that time period, were to be pushing that same agenda. But like, look, we're gonna protect ourselves. We got the money and the riches we can put into it. If you was to get roped up for something that was justified in our eyes, to man, defend yourself against them. Stop shooting your brothers. He ain't your problem. They your problem. So they were like, oh no, we got to find a way to stop this shit. And remember, once Biggie and Fox started going at each other with this East Coast, West Coast bull crap, you know, that's when Pac kind of took his eye off the ball. He started looking more so towards the gangsters type stuff, and they were able to succeed at what they were trying to do. And then here's the question. Here's the other thing what folks don't know. I'm glad you mentioned saying,
Asada
all right,
Shakur.
yeah, I'm
Yeah,
glad
I
you
was. I
mentioned
didn't want to jump in, but hey, shout out to DeMarcus for bringing that because we can't talk about Tupac right now without
I was
shouting
gonna
her out.
bring her up. I was
Yeah,
definitely gonna bring her up.
'cause I didn't even think about it until you brought up Tupac, and my thoughts went to her, and then DeMarcus beat us both to it and gave her a shout out. Rest in peace. She's in the cultural ancestor realm now, and I
Mhm.
thank her for fighting for our freedom. You know what I mean? Without getting into what happened and whether she did it or not. Hey, thank you for fighting for our freedom, Miss Shakur. Thank you. Go ahead,
Right.
Jamie.
And on top of that, what I would like to highlight about her is the fact that she was able, I would like to say, she was able to fight them demons and win. She was able to get there,
And they
go to
hate that. They hate
they
that
can't
part. Yeah,
stand it, and I
yeah,
love
they
it.
hate
They
that part.
cannot, still to this day,
Oh man,
they
I didn't
cannot
even mean to
stand
laugh, Jamie,
it.
but it came out. They hate that part. I mean, the New
They
Jersey
can't
State, they put
stand
a,
it, but
yeah,
in their
bro.
mind, it makes them look weak. That
Uh,
a woman was able to succeed at that. Because I mean, shit, I don't even know. I don't want to say it, but I don't know if to my knowledge, a black man was able to accomplish something like that. I
no,
don't think
no, not at
so.
all.
Right?
Not on that
Okay, so
level. No.
I know they can't stand it. They can't, and the ones that they love so much. One of the ones they love so much, Barack Obama. He was raising the bounty on her head to try to get her doing his
I
job.
didn't know that. I did not know that. Damn, my
Yeah, the
respect
nigga
just
was
went
doing
down a
shit
little
like that.
bit.
Folks
I
don't
did
know
not
that.
know that. Yeah.
They was trying to get her when Barack Obama was in office.
Yeah, they wanted her bad, bro.
They
I
wanted
didn't
her,
I didn't know Obama did that. So he lost a little respect for
but
that. If that's
y'all,
what he
y'all
did.
weak ass lost. She died in peace. Weak ass motherfuckers.
And they used that, Jamie. There was like, unfortunately, the officer who they alleged she killed, he didn't get to live out his years in peace, but she did. But
And
bro,
so
uh,
didn't a lot of her people. So fuck y'all.
man, I'm not looking to do no comparisons, but I will say, man, I think that's the highest level of black love we've experienced in our culture. Because you got to give shout out to the brothers for what they did, and like I say, I'm not glorifying what they did, but that took a lot of organizing, that took a lot of courage to do what they did to break her out. Not only break her out, but make sure she had a route to get. Man, that's I don't think that could be rivaled, and this ain't the time to try to rival it, but
Mhm.
that's black love right there. So shout out to the brothers who did what they had to do, to set her free. And I know it's a sensitive subject, but bless her soul, bro. Bless her soul for sure. Go ahead, Jamie.
Yeah.
Or Solo.
Yeah, I did see that on the internet. I did see that she passed away. I mean, the story is good. I think her book, her autobiography, is worth listening to or reading, however you consume information. But yeah, yeah, I agree.
So yeah, to finish up, were you done? I just want to make sure I didn't cut
Yeah,
you.
No,
yeah.
well, you know what,
Because
Jamie?
that wasn't a topic,
Jamie,
was it? I mean, I didn't know exactly what was the question about.
Oh, we're
Them.
just putting it. So basically, we're just putting her in there because pretty much we're on great leaders right now. Even though
right,
King and Malcolm is the top
right.
is the topic to highlight it right now. But we it would be some it would be kind of shitty for us to not imply her in as well,
At the
particularly
moment,
we
absolutely. So
when
shout
she
out to
passed,
Demarcus from
not
and it was on both.
acknowledge
Yeah,
what she.
and it was in both of our thoughts, Jamie, to do so. So I'm glad we gave her that moment.
Yeah, it
She
was a
almost
perfect time.
deserved a moment of
It was
silence.
perfect time.
Yes, it was. Before we move off that segment, I gotta drop these. I gotta share these receipts on Kings. I think Jamie, either you or somebody in the comment section. I think it was the comment about how they used him against Malcolm. That's almost a fact, and I want to share the receipts. So it's a few receipts. Um, the one is when King, and this video is still available for all eyes to see. When King found out about the Homestead Act, if y'all not familiar with the Homestead Act, that's when the United States gave all those European immigrants home vouchers and grants to develop land and build houses and buy houses across the country. So, and they the first ones talking about handouts. So when King found out about that, he sort of made a pivot and he called them out. And just to get straight to the point, that's the speech where he made the statement where he's saying, so now when we go to Washington, we coming to get our check, almost quote unquote verbatim. So and in that same year, so they saw him becoming radical.
I agree.
Did he freeze? Okay, so yeah, I think he's frozen right now. He probably gonna have to come back in. But anyways, to follow up on the to wrap this topic up, what I was saying about like they've been doing this same they've been doing this same tactic for the longest. Like I was saying, they've been doing with Pac and Biggie. It's retro.
Yeah, I agree. I
with
mean,
with Pac and Biggie, they pretty much used the same tactic. Cause like I said, he was Tupac was promoting for us to basically defend ourselves before the West Coast East Coast beef broke out. And then the crazy part is that a lot of that wasn't really what they made it out to be. The problem that the way they was able to finesse the people like this is Tupac was he's the type of dude that will release so many songs so quickly that they were able to withhold his unreleased music and release them out in different time periods to manipulate the people. Like, really, the West Coast East Coast situation only lasted maybe a month. What folks don't know, but the thing is that Tupac probably released like 30, 40 songs about that shit. So what they'll do is they'll release 2 this week, release 2 more, release 3 more, and they kept doing it, pushing it, and then Biggie respond or whatever, and now they was able to make this stuff blow up to something that it really wasn't. Like I said, the infiltration. They keep doing it each generation. You were laughing at the comment he said.
Yeah, I see TK talking about his Metro went out. I'm right back like I left something though. Let's keep it going.
Oh, shoot. But that's pretty much all I had to say. I was just following wrapping that up in conclusion.
Yeah, they definitely saw King becoming more radical, and they knew that when it was time to get rid of him, they couldn't afford for King to
Right.
get and J. Edgar Hoover and the FBI, and they leaked those documents that he was like King had the potential. He was already on the road to be the Black Messiah, but they were his puppet master, so to speak. And when they saw that he was trying to cut those strings from the puppet master, like, okay, we got to get rid of you. So that's it. That's my last comments on that.
Yeah. And also, I just want to point this out, just because I think Fakila, you mentioned about us not having a black league and stuff like that. Got to give a shout out, but I just think he got to be very, very careful. We got to give a shout out because I don't know if y'all are aware of this, but LeBron James is creating a league right now. He's attempting to create a league on his own to rival the NBA.
Oh, that's breaking news to me. Yeah, he better be very careful. That's breaking news for me.
okay, I'm sorry, never mind.
No, go ahead, please say.
Not build something for his Akron community. Because when you say the school is a public school, so it's ran by the state. So don't bring that up. So he doesn't have a institution for black people in his city, but he can open up a league, all that money he got. So he can't put up a supermarket, he can't serve as a bank, he can't serve as a hospital, he can't put no type of jobs in his community, but his ass can start a league to rival with the NBA. because we need more basketball players. We don't need more plumbers. We don't need more electricians. We don't need more political leaders. We don't need that. We need a basketball league.
I agree. I definitely agree. You
Good
got
point. Good point, Solo.
no pushback from me.
That's what kills me. Like we want I don't know if it's him or his fans that want us to put LeBron on some type of pedestal.
It's both.
But LeBron has done nothing for the black community. Nothing.
Hey, y'all remember?
Come out with some shoes. He'll come out with some shoes that more Europeans are going to benefit off of than anything.
They say I'm a hater when I say these things.
But I'm a hater for what?
No, they say I'm a hater when I point these things out.
No, I do. I hate the fact that LeBron, only thing he wants to do is I ain't gonna do that because they be cutting out YouTube channels when you mention that certain country. But anyway,
right.
Yeah, the one that's coming up. We got all in the house, Jamie. We got all in.
You can't. LeBron has done nothing. When I remember when they killed that black boy, they put like so many bullets in him. The police was just
in Akron,
killing him. That man said, "We're gonna pray for the families." Oh, okay.
That's because he's controlled, clearly. Remember, I told you this is something that I can't prove, but this is just something that I speculate. And I just believe it to be true. And this is the first time I said this on this podcast before, but I'm gonna go ahead and present it. I believe a lot of these quote unquote supposedly rich celebrities don't really have real money like that. And I think it makes perfect sense. We're the ones with the money. But what happens is under these contracts that these people have, they're able to have access to a credit line. That's what I believe it is. Like, okay, LeBron, you're worth $1.2 billion, roughly. Your credit line is this amount. You can go to this and whatever. Because like I did say this part before. If you've ever seen the limited series by Kevin Hart, True Story, how he had to ask for permission to use his money when it's big transactions. Like if it's just you want to buy some J's or something like that, cool, go get that. But if you want to move big, large amounts of money, like millions, you got to get it approved. And then when you speak against these people, you they attack you, and then they cut your credit line out. That's how Kanye was worth billions at one point. And then out of nowhere, he dropped from billions to just a few, 100 million or something like that in almost overnight. So I think that's what they do to be able to keep control of these people. So I'm not making any excuses for any of them, but what I am saying is that they sold themselves out already to them. So even if they wanted to a degree, it would be put in place if they can't.
Shout out to Marcus for the super chat, and that's a great question. Even without the super chat, I still would have responded as we always do. But I don't think there's no comparison. I know Al Sharpton was more of a protege of both of them, of Jesse and Prime Minister Farrakhan, and Prime Minister is the strongest, man. Think about this, and I know how some of us can kind of get distracted by the name drops, but just think about this. For him to be a Muslim minister, and remember what I said earlier, that in the black community, only 2% of our community subscribes to Islam. So for us to call him the minister, when in Black America, when you say the minister, everybody know who you're talking about. It shows his influence. It shows the impact. And speaking for myself, it's been an honor to live on his watch. Malcolm was gone before I was born. So we really don't have any other black men on the scene that's verbally putting a foot in our enemy's rear end the way the minister does. I know the minister got his, I know people got their things about him, whether if he was complicit with the whole Malcolm thing, that's a different topic. But as far as him showing us this is how a roaring lion stands up to our open enemy, he did a great job, and he's one of those leaders I don't mind getting canceled or banned for, because white America has to understand we need somebody like that. You know, we had Malcolm. Malcolm's gone, so he kind of stepped up and filled that void of just having. And we only got one. He's really the only one we got who really tell them like it is, like with no sugarcoat. Like, hey, here's what it is. So to answer the Marcus super chat question, you say what y'all think about Jesse? Jesse was supposed to be to King what Farrakhan was to X. And I don't want to get into the controversy of what happened to X. But Jesse did his thing. He didn't do it as strong as the minister did. So I definitely want to honor his super chat question, whether it was a comment or super chat. That's it.
Yeah, for me also, Al Sharpton, I'm sorry. He lost all his credibility for me when he was standing toe and toe with Kamala Harris. That let me know everything I need to know that. So, and then of course Farrakhan would never do no shit like that. So
Right.
that kind of separates him from them, just that,
Ye- Right.
because
Eh,
those people who do that are clearly sellouts. Because you can't tell me,
Right.
that's the way you're supposed to be a man of God and stuff like that. There's no way you can with, you know, stand with somebody who has the, policies and visions that she had when God himself said that those type of things are abomination. It don't go together. So
all,
that
all in all in say Farrakhan walked it like he talked it with intelligence and no fear. I gotta agree with that. And he's the only guy, like him or not, he's the only guy in our culture for the last 40 years that has done that on the level he's done it. So it's one of those, he's one of those guys that I would tell white America, hey, hands off. We only got one that's telling y'all like it is. So don't try to crack down on us because we're not afraid to honor what he's done for us up until this point, from the Million Man March through the years to reforming, like I said earlier, reforming a lot of our brothers who was out there doing destructive stuff. So that's it on that.
For me, I wouldn't put Al Sharpton and Jesse Jackson in the same sentence as Louis
I was gonna say the
Farrakhan.
same thing, Solo.
right.
I was gonna say the same thing, Solo. Keep going.
What
Yeah.
I mean, any you should be suspicious of any leader, especially right now, telling you to vote Democrat, and Al Sharpton
Exactly.
is telling you to
Exactly.
vote Democrat. Like Al Sharpton will sit up there. Like at this point, Al Sharpton, you know what really was the nail in the coffin for me? I mean, I had been through Al Sharpton, in the house, but it was when he led that boycott from Target to Costco. I said, "Oh my God!" And you got black people following him to Costco. So okay, so from Freddie to Jason, essentially. I mean, you going from one colonizer to a non-black corporation to another non-black corporation. I mean, what exactly did we benefit from spending our money at Costco
Right.
as opposed to Target? So Jesse
Money
Jackson,
grab.
I haven't seen Jesse Jackson do anything. I mean, I haven't seen him do anything. He only comes out when they want to whip black people back in their place. And
Yep.
it's the same for Al Sharpton. When they want, like when black people were saying they not voting for Al, when they not voting for Kamala Harris, they put him in place. They put D.L. Hughley in place to say, "Nah, y'all need to vote for black. Y'all need to vote for her.
That
She
nigga
a
be
black
going
woman."
hard too,
And
boy.
what's the other one? Roland Martin.
Oh,
You need to vote for her. She a black woman. She is black. Or whatever the reasons were for us wanting us to vote for her. But you should be suspicious of anybody telling you to vote Democrat, especially with no demands. We're the only people that vote for Democrat don't with no demands. Every other race, they have demands when they vote. when they go to
Right
vote
on.
Democrats.
That's real.
They get shit done when
Look,
they
They
vote
get shit
Democrat.
done.
We supposed to just blindly and just say it, just accept whatever it is that they bring. So you should be suspicious of any leader telling you to just vote Democrat without any
right.
demands, without anything, without requesting any type of systematic change.
Yeah, that's what one thing another thing I'll give for Umar. He was saying, like, look, I'm telling y'all not to vote for any one of them unless they meet our demands. Like, bro, make them work for your vote. That's what he was always pushing. And I can agree with him on that.
Yeah.
Like, Democrats give us scraps every year when it's
We
time for
don't
that
even
because
get scraps. Damn, at least we were getting something. We get nothing from the Democrats.
right. They give us bullshit each time when it's time to vote because they know, like, why would we go out our way to make sure they good when they're gonna vote for us anyway?
And they currently crashing out over the immigration issue when clearly more than 50% of the black community is like, yo, y'all tripping. You know what I'm saying? Like the black community, whether we're public about it or private, we're pretty much saying, hey, we agree with Trump. If for no other reason, we agree when it gets to that birthright citizenship, that birthright citizenship that's tied up in the Supreme Court right now, saying that no visitors shouldn't count. If you come in here on purpose to have a baby, what they call anchor babies, and the 14th Amendment was specifically for the great grand, well, the babies of slaves, us, our ancestors, and for the Democrats to be crashing out over that issue while ignoring reparations and other issues of the black community, it's almost political suicide. That's it.
You know
I
what, from my point of view, when it comes to the immigrants, it's just to me crazy that they can have this type. To me, telling black people, "Oh, we can't afford to give y'all reparations. We can't afford to fix this building. We can't afford to give you guys any type of grants, anything you ask for. We can't afford to do that." But when all them immigrants started flooding the country, those safe haven, New York and Chicago, one of the biggest ones, Boston too, they somehow, some way, you guys found the money to take care of them. Like they had Social
That's
Security, they
right.
had
I
food stamps,
They printed the money.
they was reopening in school so they can
That's
have
right.
somewhere to live. Like y'all had money to fund them and y'all figured it out.
Yeah,
But
they
then when
printed
it
the money,
comes to
Solo.
us,
Uh
we
huh.
ask for stuff, y'all tell us y'all can't afford it.
Right.
And
Exposure,
then these
Solo.
are
That's
our
what it
tax
is.
dollars. These are the money
Right.
that we're paying into the tax. And that's what the
but
Chicago
they can't use
citizens were
tax
basically
dollars for
saying to their mayor, Brandon. What is the name?
that.
Brandon something.
Brandon John. I think it's Johnson.
That's
Brandon Johnson.
that
Yeah.
sound right. They were basically saying that to him, like, we've been asking you to reopen our schools, to renovate our schools, to do our roads, to do all this stuff, and you've been saying we can't afford that. But then you have all these money, billions of dollars,
Billions. That's right.
to take
And like
care of
and and,
these
and,
people.
and and if I could just say it a different way, Solo, they didn't find the money; they printed the money. Like Trump
Yeah,
has Trump has straight up said, like, I don't care on certain issues. He said, man, I don't care what it costs; it needs to get done, and we're gonna print the money to get it done. Remember, on the federal level, it's the U.S. Treasury; they print what they need.
hmm
I mean, that's not even a secret. We could look that stuff up online, and it'll straight up tell you, yeah, the U.S. currency, they print what they need. And then I'm not that informed on how the inflation part work of it, but they definitely can print the money they need. Like the PPP loans, they just deleted that debt. It was like how we hit the delete button on the keyboard. Like
yeah,
the loan forgiveness, they hit the
yeah.
delete button, it's gone. So that shows you they have the digital power to print the money and use it for what they need it for. At least on the federal level.
All right. So I think that pretty much wraps up, you know, everything as far as this topic. Now we're gonna go to, in my eyes, the big one.